Hello everybody, very good evening, afternoon, morning to you all. My name is a320. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to today's video. Today we are currently on the ground at San Diego. We're going to be doing a very short flight over to Las Vegas. This is kind of a tutorial flight in the Wings A320. Livery down in the description if you do wish to join any virtual airline. Then we leave a link in the description. Right. This is kind of a procedural flight, so this is not going to be a full in-depth tutorial. This is more just a procedural tutorial, it's getting you know how to fly the plane correctly, if that makes sense. We'll be referencing Airbus pilots, real-world videos, real-world tutorials, real-world FCOMs, and yeah, that's what we'll be doing. So the first things first, we're going to do just a typical cabin of flight deck check, just make sure flight deck is healthy. So what we're going to look for is our throttles are in idle. Move the camera, so throttles in idle, engine mod selections in norm, flaps are up, engines are off, gear is down, and you know the usual. We'll open up our door as well, crew do their brief, whatever, go to our iPad and we'll go. We do not want you up, you can head right back down. Should have click spot somewhere over here. Right, we'll head over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the audio. The reason being is copyrighted. I've got my own cabin announcement pack for this. Anyway, what we'll do is we'll head upstairs. Again, everything's off. So what we'll do is we will go to our battery power. We'll turn battery 1 and battery 2 on. Voltage is fine. You know, we've got power, external power, we can connect. We're going to move down to, this is kind of your flow that you want to do. You want to do batteries. See, it says electric, air conditioning. They're all kind of grouped together, the overhead panel. So we'll go battery 1, battery 2 external in the electric. We'll head downstairs for external lights. We're going to turn our nav and logo lights on to let the ground crew know that it's power to the aircraft. We'll also turn our emergency exit signs to on. And those broken signs to auto. Strobe lights to auto. We supply on. We want to go ADIS, nav, IR1, IR2, and IR3. My PC's lagging a bit. That's the basics. I need to get Active Sky and Rex Atmos Core started. That's poor on me. Right. What we'll do is we'll head over to here. Fenix, my flights, tap to import from SimBrief, and we need to update our livery and also our off-flux time. I forgot the clocks have gone back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly reload my flight time, and I just need to do a few tweaks to this aircraft as well. We'll change you over to meters, hexapascals, and kg, and we'll just push our flight time back by about an hour because I forgot the clocks went forward. We'll generate a new flight plan. Okay, that's better. Re-import from SimBrief. There we go. 30 minutes. Right, since we're 30 minutes out, we might as well stop. We will start boarding soon, so we'll go to mass and balance, load aircraft, load using GSX.
Refueling truck is on its way. Boarding requested. Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and
elevator sorted as well. There we go. We're going to head down to our McDo. FMGC. We've got CFM 56 engines today, and our nav database is up to date. Our AIREC is the 30th of March, and our database in date, or 29th, 30th, yeah. Okay, so what we'll do is we will press the Magic B button for BARF 2977. We're in America. We're not refueled, we'll leave seatbelt signs off. Flight number today is R-Wings 981, 99 to represent that. It's a training flight. and 81 just
Please
because I
don't
don't
load
know.
the aircraft until
Usually
the fuel truck
this is a
arrives.
Hello,
non-scheduled
Captain. We are ready for pushback.
route, also chart route. So cost index of 20, very bog standard cost index, and we're going to be cruising at 29,000 feet, flight level 290 today. What we're going to do is head over to here. We're going to go to our ATSU, and we're going to
Departure
go
checks
air
completed.
operator certificate
Bypass
menu.
pin inserted.
I'm going to turn this GSX sounds down a bit. What we're going to do is receive messages. We've got two law sheets. We're going to discard the first one because we that was our mistake, and we're going to get our proper preliminary law sheet. We're going to go init B, press right arrow, enter a 0 fuel weight, which is 58.94. So 58.9. We're going to call it 58.9. We don't need to round it up. Down, we're going to head on max 0 fuel weight, which is 31.6. 31.6. There we go. Block fuel on board today. We'll go down and we're going to set fuel in tanks, which is 6.46. So 6.46 usually rounds up 6.5. That's all we need to know. Okay, we'll go through our routing today. So our routing is here, which is Zoo 4, Interpol, whatever that is, TMP, under 7. So you could always do this departure, which is the Zoo 4 departure. I'm presuming from 827 out of San Diego. It tends to usually be used. And San Diego's just far too busy to do a one-in, one-out system with the runway. So we're using 27 as our departure runway and end table. Zoo 4, end table. I'm sure there's a B to pronounce that. Let's go. As we head over to Tango 29 Palms, it's called. We're going to be taking 26 left as our arrival today, and the ILS Yankee is going to be ILS Yankee 26 left. Randus 4 and TMP. Approaching via, make sure that RV is selected via Bourbon, that's fine, and that should be all good. We've got an airtime of 55 minutes, however once we import our winds that should drop down potentially. All good news. While we do that, we'll head over to our charts page. I've got mine up on my iPad, completely separate. However, if you do not use Navigraph, you can also use the default Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 charts. They're really good. So we're just going to start. So we're going to start the charts that we want. So we've got our airport info, our departure chart. MSA 5,400 feet, and that's what we need to know. So we've got an initial restriction of flight level 230 on the turn, and we'll set top altitude of flight level 230 for the time being. No, not you. 230. There's one thing that we need to check, is the temperature outside. What is it? 9 degrees. Oh, it's really cold. It's very unlike West Coast. Oh no. The fuel is showing the TAT of 9 degrees. That's because I started Rex Atmos and not Active Sky. Let's start Active Sky. It is 24 degrees in 24 degrees in San Diego. Why's that TAT drop down to 1? While that's doing that, and it, you know, it figures itself out, It connects us in. There we go. Hopefully Active Sky decides that it wants to work. There we go. Temperature's updated. QNH is updated. 299 the full. Well, got a bit of a discrepancy. I'm going to use what Microsoft Flight Sim's given me. Now we're hot, and we also got refueled. We can turn on our seatbelts. We can also pop our fuel pumps on as well. We can do our APU engine 1 fire master warning, engine 2 and APU. Ground control, got a good voice recorder test. That's worked. We'll pretty proud of our integrated lights. Master switch, wait 5 seconds. Wait until that turns green. It is, and we'll hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let the APU turn on. While that's happening, we'll get our departure path coming out. So runway 27. Now this is your flaps config, your aircraft config. This is, I'd say, captain's discretion. My preference: packs on, anti-ice off, force toggle, no flap config, optimum, and then you insert your preliminary load sheet. Sync your weather, view intersection data, make sure there's any intersections, you take whichever's available, and this is what we're given. I'm happy with this. This is very nice. 45, 45, 45. 1 down 0.3, like 65. We can just check in our mixed do. There we go. So 45, 45, 45. 1500 will accept Rugies and accelerate arcs. Turn constraints on, turn airports on here. 100% chronometer, 1 at least 3 minutes. And the next is just a giant waiting game. So while we're waiting, we can do a bit of a brief out of San Diego. So if we head over to a pilot brief, should we have a look at the NOTAMs? So the airport, so taxiway A, use of taxi TXL Kilo close, taxiway Alpha west of taxiway Alpha 7 close, blah blah blah. These are NOTAMs. You usually read through these in your brief. These are your approach procedures. We're not going to be doing that. Blah blah blah. Weather en route, we'll have a look on the weather. So that's our routing. Weather, so we've got a bit of a tailwind, which is nice. We'll look for one at our altitude. So yeah, it's a bit, yeah, this is close to our altitude, and it's a bit, it's a bit of a mix. We've got a tailwind here and here. It's just very, yeah. That's our climb descent profile. We're not expecting any turbulence, thunderstorm, bad weather. I see a little pickle actually in the distance. Oh, that's in the distance. That's not relevant to us. And we can have a look at our documents, see if we've got any. See if we've got, can go for a QRH. So in the event of an emergency, we could just go to one of those. There's our checklist. Do you have a checklist? Specific? Well, this is a checklist that you can just go through. We'll look at our charts. We'll do a quick departure brief. So, we are currently on stand here, Terminal 2 East. We're going to push back facing north, I'm presuming. Taxi onto Bravo. Bravo 1, take off runway 27, climb. Once we're out, we will be on the Zoo 4. We're going to make a left-hand turn at Jetty down to Zoo, max 230 knots at Zoo, below 2,000, below flight of 220, above 6,000 feet. And this is going to be our routing all the way up here to, well, Metabol. Coming in, we'll be on the Renders 4 on arrival from 29 Palms. just make sure we've just make sure that we are essentially following this. We're going to be landing runway 26 left, if I remember correctly. So we're going to be coming up the north here, and then across left-hand turn. We're on ILS Yankee, so we're going to be making Bourbon, Bishop, obviously all of that. Right. If there's a notepad I can show you, let me show you some speed gates. For our approach, we can go through this again a bit closer to the time, but for our approach, these are, it's been 3 minutes, we can turn our bleeds on now. And our load factor as well. Is our load factor high? Yeah, we'll turn pack flow to high today. So these are our approach speed gates. So just to allow you to have a more stable approach, we'll do it again closer to the time, but we want to be, we're going to go distance. Well, we're going to pop our speed first. Yeah, we'll go distance. So 20 miles from destination, we want to be at a speed of 220 or below, and at an altitude of 6,000 or below. That's speed gate number 1. If I just clear that, 10 miles, we want to be at an altitude of, well, it's 10 miles, we're only going to focus on speed here. So 180, actually, I'll call 15 miles, we'll call it. We're going to be at speed of 180 or below. As for a 10 mile final, 10 and 160. Those will go 180 to 160. And that's our approach speed gate. 160 at 4 miles when we fully config. We'll go through it again a bit closer to the time. We'll draw some situational awareness strings. We don't need you anymore, so we'll reset you. And do you brief for any of the further things? Single engine taxi we will do. So we'll start engine number 1. So when you do a single engine taxi, and we'll go through the procedure properly. We'll set them up to integrated lights on. When you do a single engine taxi, engine start number 2. We'll start number 1. Elect pump, AP bleed off. So you set your flaps, spoil through rate trim, let's just pedal to connect as well. I've got a separate, I'm using my new side stick as a tiller as well as a widder, so get that as an option. Obviously we've got side stick as well. Now this is a dodgy thing about these side sticks, the axes are linked, which is really annoying. So, a few things to note is when we take off, we're going to leave our packs on. We're going to advance levers 40% M1. If my thrust lever's disconnected, I think they have. I might need to just quickly. We'll go about 40% on the M1, and then 40 straight into flex, man flex, SRS, runway blue, and then yeah, the V-watt, so 100 knots, so 50% side stick, 100 knots. Well, 80 knots we'll begin releasing. For 100 knots we're going to be fully neutral. V1, so V1 handle thrust levers, rotate, pitch up 10 degrees, we're on an a320, so you can pitch up to 10 degrees. Once we've established a positive rate, gear up, pitch up to 20 degrees, and we'll follow flight director, follow the FMA, 1,500 feet, reduce thrust, climb thrust, and continue, follow the flat retraction, and that's our takeoff. Breathe fuel. Well, in the event of a fault, so if we hear anything go off before, and we actually remind ourselves to turn on failures as well. So we could do menu, that's boarding complete, config, manual failures, random failures, realistic, minor. So in the event of a small failure, we will jet takeoff immediately below 80 knots. Above 80 knots, we will only reject fire if we if we have loss of thrust on an engine, loss of directional control, whatever. In the event of that, brake, match reverse, speed brakes will come up automatically. If we have asymmetrical thrust, we may use rudder as well. Use the over thrust as well. If we have any issues that occur during our flights, for example, let's say we have a decompression or whatever, we will choose a suitable airfield. Our planned alternate based on our flight plan is Cheddar City. That being said, if you have a takeoff issue, we've got San Diego, Los Angeles, we've also got Oakland, which is a bit up. Is it Oakland? I think it's Oakland. We've got San Bernardino as well, San Diego, Los Angeles. There's lots of airports to choose from in the event that we do need to, if we do need to divert. That being said, we shouldn't need to. Ontario, that's it, Ontario. Right, we are ready to go. 8 minutes ahead of schedule, aircraft loaded. We'll go through what we'll do a quick load sheet comparison. So we'll go to init B. We're then going to go ATC com, return, ALC menu, receive messages, grab our final load sheet. We're going to check for any discrepancies. It says compliance with, which means that we do have no discrepancies. We shouldn't have any discrepancies. We've just checked. So 0 fuel weight 589, beautiful. Mac 0 fuel weight, which is our central gravity, 31.6, brilliant. Fuel intense 6.448, we've got 6.5, so I'm just going to update that. 6.448 if needs be. That puts it down 6.4, beautiful. That's because we've had that AP run. That's all good. That means we'll just do a quick we'll sync our load sheet again, viewing section data, grab what we've got, calculate, that's fine, and we'll send that to the McDo. Nothing's changed from there. Right, we're good to go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through our cockpit prep checklist. So we're going to go charts, we're going to go pilot brief, checklist. So cockpit preparation, so gear pins and covers have been removed. Fuel quantity is 6.4 tons. Seat belts are on. ADIS, all in nav, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Cross check, barrel ref is 29904. Once, twice, 3 times, second cross checked. That is our LSDs. Bless me. That's our cockpit prep done. So we'll do our before start checklist. So parking brake is currently set. Takeoff speeds and thrust. So 145, 145, 145 all across the board. Flex 1065, flaps 1 down 0.3 on the trim. Windows above closed, and our beacon light is on. We are good to go. We shut the flight deck door, tell the crew we are ready to go.
Locking gear.
Remember single engine taxi, brief single engine taxi, let engines warm up as well. And we're quite light, so we can consider it. If we're heavy, we wouldn't. We'll start engine number 2 probably once. We'll start engine number 2 probably when we have passed Bravo 5 and just having a look on the charts. If we have a look here. So we'll get engine number 1 started just to save fuel really. Pardon me. San Diego, airport inflow. So yeah, we'll probably take maybe around about here. We'll start engine number 1, engine number 2. Direction.
Release parking brakes, please.
And it's not changed our direction, so we'll face north on ramp.
Release parking brakes, please.
Right, what we're going to do, start the chrono, release parking brakes.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
So clear start engines, so clear start engines, head up, we've got everything we need. Engine mode selector into ignition stop. Verify we've got ignition, that's fine. Start engine number 1. Engine number 1 starting. I'll let you enjoy the sounds. engine number 1 started, which is brilliant. Available light is on. Hydraulic pump, NDP bleed off. I'm going to switch out engine mode selector to norm. Right, after start flow, what we'll do is we'll do after start flow, so norm. Pull you up, we'll do the flaps from the wing so you can see the trim down to 0.3, which is around about here. Just check it in the flight control page, that's down 0.4. That's 0.3.
Please set parking brakes.
Set parking brakes.
Unlocking gear.
Flaps on. Got an engine start, so what we'll do is we'll gather a checklist out, pilot brief. So anti-ice is off as required. Ecam status is normal. Pitch trim is set to down 0.3. Or if you want to also do it the other way.
Truck disconnected. Bypassed and removed.
If you go 299 on your CG,
Left is clear. Right
it
is
should
clear.
it should match here. So most operators actually don't use the trim up and down. They actually use the CG. The thing is, Fenix tells you off if you try and do that. You gotta enter a trim number in. So I usually go the best way though, best practice CG. It's a lot easier rather than up X Y Z. It's like, okay, CG is X Y Z, you do X Y Z. So 299, that's good on the CG. Rudder trim is neutral. Make sure your rudder trim is been reset. Okay, we've been ready to go. We're gonna wait because he's gonna pass by the left hand side. So straight ahead as we are, and straight ahead, right, straight down. Okay, he's gone. So we're gonna go taxi, turn offs, parking brake release. Are we heavy? We are. Goose it a bit. What we're going to do is we're going to do a brake check. So the brakes are pressed. There we go. Keep it nice and steady to come out of here. Now when you're told during your PPR, you're actually supposed to taxi at a walking pace. I've turned off the nose wheel disconnects because I'm using a tiller. If you do not have a tiller, you do not need to worry about that. Use your rudders. This just allows me to do flight control checks on the move as you would in the real aircraft. We will wait until we've made this turn. So when you're doing a single engine taxi, you want at least 2 minutes for engine start. A good rule of thumb is to estimate your takeoff time minus 2 minutes off, minus about 3-4 minutes off your takeoff time, and that should give you a good time to get your engines warm. We'll take it nice and slow around this bend here. You may goose up to around about 30% or 40% on the M1. Make sure when you're doing single engine, you only follow engine number 1 engine at a time. Right, we'll do a flight control check as we're here. Full forward, neutral, full back, neutral, it's a dodgy, so full left, full right, neutral, and rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Right. First officer would do their one as well, PNF, so we've got to do it from the wing. As we're taxiing out, we'll probably pop you over to TA, maybe System 1, Predictor Wind Shear for the weather radar. Because it's starting engine number 2, we're about halfway down the runway, so we'll start engine number 2, maybe run a bit closer. Because we're light, we're able to move under our own power, so we need to even add some brake as well. going to start engine number 2 now. So what we're going to do, start engine number 2. We are going to APU bleed on, kill the electronic pump, and you should hear the aircraft currently barking at us. And then we'll set you over to ignition start. It's oscillating a bit. Right, we're going to wait until we can ignite the engine, and we can. Got ignition. Okay. Start engine number 2. So we've got 2 good engine starts, engine 1, engine 2, set the chrono here, that's 2 minutes for the engines to warm up. Head upstairs, APU bleed off, wing, engine anti-ice off, pro P we don't need, assist APU master switch off, engine mode selector, norm, taxi tech list, so flight controls, VIN checks, flap setting, config 1F green, config 1 blue, radar prediction wind shear, on auto, engine mode selector, no, ecom memo. Take off no blue. Now, because we're going quite fast, we can taxi out on idle thrust, which we are going to do. But we've got to wait a minute until we actually begin our takeoff roll, just to allow the APU to cool down, to allow the engines to cool down. Take 2 minutes, so we'll just coast onto the runway nice and slowly. In fact, we have a minute now, so we could probably line up and wait, because it's been a minute. We'll keep it rolling though. So, line up checklist. It's takeoff runway 27, check. TCAS, Syrah, packs 1 and 2, on. Checklist complete. Signal cabin crew. Strobe lights. Line lights on, and use low lighting. Nose light in taxi. The reason why I'm doing this is to remind myself that I have not been cleared to take off. I've only been told to line up and wait. This is company specific SOP, so not all companies use it. This is down to you as an individual. So we're going to allow it to coast. Could give ourselves 20 seconds. To remember again, takeoff, manflex, SRS, runway, blue. 100 knots, release, so half side stick. 100 knots. Release forward pressure. Release forward pressure by 100 knots. V1, hand the thrust lever, rotate, pitch to 10 degrees, positive rate. As soon as we establish positive rate, gear up. I really got chopped in right. There we go, 2 minutes. Right, brilliant. Look at that, that is a perfectly timed. Right, start the timer. Takeoff timer that is. You can come on, engine run. We'll do a rolling takeoff, so around about 40% on the M1. Offside stick for rudder off, because we don't have rudder authority. There's 40%. Manflex 65 SRS, runway auto thrust is blue. 80 knots, slowly start releasing forward pressure. 100 knots. Got rudder authority. Gear up. And follow fly directors. I tried to do a little bit of cinematic, keep it by. I'm gonna hand fly for a bit. Oh, hello. Bit of a lag there. Right, leave a climb. So first climb nav, out blue. Push nose down, back onto the flight director. Speed, we've got speed restriction of 230, so we'll pop that in. As a reminder that hey, we shouldn't accelerate. Right. S speed check, flaps up. As we hit jetty, we're going to make our left hand turn. We're going to follow the flight director here, which will keep us on our routing here. Pitch up to maintain flight 230. There's our left hand turn, so it's come out left hand turn. We keep the roll nice and gentle, but keep back on the flight directors. Should maintain the roll. And lights can come off. 25 degrees. This is a pretty steep bank angle, but because we're hand flying, we're allowed to do the flight director commands this turn. Because we're hand flying as well, we're able to. Pitch up, we're a bit, beating our speed a bit. Flight director to pop us back on. There we go. Disarm our speed brakes as well while we're here. Let's get back on course. So we're going to keep, might as well hand fly for a bit. Just get used to the feel of the aircraft. Maybe around about relatively fast zoo maybe. I'll keep the automation in. It's such a nice plane to hand fly, the a320. Flight level 10, well, passing altitude 10,000 feet. Landing lights are off. Seatbelt sign's still on. We'll wait until we've made this right hand turn and we've accelerated. Bank angle, let's just turn again. Once the zoo disappears from there, which it has, we will get rid of our speed restriction. So we're going to pitch down now, pitch for 292. So straight and level, we will. Autopilot 1 on. Seatbelt signs off. There we go, just like that, nice and simple. Now, as we're in the States, our transition altitude is 18,000 feet. In Europe, it's usually 6,000 or 5,000 feet, depending on where you are. In the UK, it's 6,000. Look to our left, you should be able to see the airport we took off from, there's San Diego as well. Now, there's a few things. Once we've reached top of climb, we will brief our descent. So, it's a 50-minute flight. It sounds like a long time, but when you think about it, we're going to land roughly 50 minutes from now. That's what it's giving us. Top of climb in roughly 8 minutes. Our top of descent is 13 minutes later. That's not a long time. So we'll just, once we get to our top of climb, we will climb to 290. Once we get to top of climb, what we'll do is we will talk about our approach, what things we need to consider, what threats do we potentially have. We'll do a quick aid memoir, and yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one today. So things that just need to be considerate about when you fly into an airport. Now, not many. If you can get a route information manual about an airport, that's great. So if we just maybe we could give ourselves, there we go, passing flight 180, standard, beautiful. Heading into Las Vegas, McCarran. So when we've got a nice little, we've got lots of things to consider about for McCarran Airport. Should we proceed direct to Mitball? We will. So we'll do a shortcut. We'll proceed direct to Mitball. When you press direct to on the Airbus family, we'll go direct to Mitball. Direct to, press a beam points. Press insert, what it's going to do is it's going to pop in these points here. This is good for fuel reporting. So let's say, you know, once we hit highs, for example, we can do a fuel comparison to our flight plan. So if we go to summary fuel and where is it? Flight log. There we go. Highs, we're supposed to have 5.2 tons of fuel when we get to it. See, 5.2 at highs. When we reach a beam highs, we're going to have 5.3. That's it. That's why you keeping your fuel schedules up to date is good because it shows how efficient you are. You know, maybe you could save some efficiency, and obviously fuel is money. Airlines actively encourage fuel savings. Alright, so we're passing flight of 240. We're going to begin our descent soon. Should we? We'll have a little talk about our approach into Las Vegas. So let's just go to our checklist. Obviously, we don't need to use that, so we don't need to do anything until our approach checklist. Being said, what we're going to have a look at is our threats. So, what could be the potential threats around Las Vegas? Let's get our charts out. So this is what you do when you brief. You always want to look at. Also, I wonder why it's not showing the map. So there we go. Set it to our location. Zoom out. So what are the threats in Las Vegas if we head over to it? Well, I'll tell you one of the big threats is the terrain. So yeah, the airfield is surrounded by mountains. Charleston Peak is 12,000 feet AMSL within the sea level. I'm currently reading this from somewhere, from a reference I've got. If we have a look here, so we obviously have a look high altitude around 12,000 feet above mean sea level. Like we've got really high peaks, so we've got to be careful of that. It's around about 30 miles west of northwest. So yeah, as you can see, probably around about here. That's Charleston Peak. 17 miles to the north, there is high ground as well, high elevation. And peaks of 10,000 feet plus 30 miles to the north. West of the airfield, which is here, terrain is flat, but rises rapidly to over 4,000 feet. As you can see here, it's flat, but then it rises 8 miles northeast, peak of 4,000. So we'll look northeast, and this is peak. Can't see it on here. Please be consideration of that. Another thing to know about Las Vegas is it's very, very hot. It's what we consider a hot and high airfield. If we have a look over here, for example, I think it's this one. Have a look. It's one of these pages. I'm not sure which one. It is somewhere. There you go. Here, cruise. Our landing elevation is 2,100 feet, which is quite high. When you're high, the air is less dense. Now let's go over to our weather, which we'll be finding our arrival path. Hi, Meta. 32C. So, we reached cruise altitude. When you've got temperatures plus 27 degrees or above in the A320, it has a design flaw. You have to leave the flaps out after landing. So, when we land, it's flaps 1. Remember that, flaps 1. When your temperature's hot, flaps 1. Unfortunately, we do not have sticky notes that we can just pop on here, for example, as you would in a real aircraft. But flaps 1 is what we'll get. Also, we need to get a CPWC installed. So that's one thing we need to remember. Other things we'll consider is the usage of brake fans and potentially max reverse, because again it's so hot when the cool then brakes will turn around. With our landing path, so obviously we're going to have reduced thrust as well. Do need to be considerate of that. So we'll do a landing weight, which the best way to work out your landing weight is to go to your init B page, and just find your zero fuel weight 58.9, and look at your EFOB. That should give you 63.2 as our landing weight, if my maths is correct. Oh, not 63,000. Oh god, what's going on? Why is it doing that? Okay, what we're going to do is, since this wants to mess around, we'll just reboot the EFB. So again, 62 plus 0.3, 63.2. While that's rebooting, there we go. Fresh flight, we've not got any metal. Just not got reloaded in here. Should be loaded now. Arrival path. Okay, last 26 left. Apply metal. 63.2. There we go. So things to consider. We could use low auto brake and idle reverse. However, because we're so hot, we're going to use max reverse for brake cooling, just to ease off. We're still going to use low auto brakes because it's low. We're going to go low with max, and it doesn't make a difference on the dry runway for stopping distance. That is true, but max reverse means that we just cool our brakes. We've got plenty of runway, as you can tell, so we will be popping in. Well, no, we're going to pop in our landing data. So we're going to pop in our weather. So we're going to go with 250 at 1.8, even though my Navigraph charts is my Navigraph is actually very consistent with that. So 250 at 1.8. Temperature again 32°C. QNH is 29.86. For altimeter 29.86. And also our charts now, because we've got all this fun part. Oh, by the way, flaps full. Recommend flap setting on the A320. I'd never use flaps free on the 20 unless I really need to. Today we really don't need to. Let's grab our arrival, not you, approach, ILS. So do you want to scroll up? Seems like it doesn't want to scroll down for me. Come on. Seems like it doesn't want to. There we go, that wants to work. Right. ILS Yankee 26 left. Pin, you will start you. We've got you start. Look at star charts. Right. So look, our minimums. Look at that. Decision height 2269. Flaps full. Go around. So if we do go around, climb to 3200. Then climbing right turn to 6,000, and that's the thing. That's what we need to consider. 6,000 feet. So. Field elevation 2069, so we'll put 1,000 feet, so we'll go 3069 to 6,000 feet. Want to reduce our thrust as early as possible, accelerate as late as possible. There we go, just to get us away from the ground. That's pretty much all the arrival stuff done. There's a few things you could. Well, actually, before we do that, let's make sure we sync up our approach. So 2986. So we'll pull. We'll just make sure that you're synced. No, 6. We'll draw some rings. Actually, we'll draw a ring. So we shall draw a 10-mile ring. Right, well, what we'll do is we'll draw a 20-mile ring. What should we go with? We'll go into here, we'll go to progress, we'll go KLOS 26 left. This gives us an approximate distance, straight line distance, that is. What we'll then draw is we'll draw a 20-mile range ring. Radius ring. So on the 737, I would do what's called. This is my rings on the 737. It is whatever your top of descent point, which for us is 29,000 feet, so that would give us 87 miles plus 10, well, 87 plus a headwind or tailwind component, which we'll call it about 3, so we'll call it 90 miles plus 10 miles for plus 4. Now the best way to work out your top of descent on the Airbus is very similar, but if we go here, fix info, we will just do like 87 plus 3, so we'll go, this is if you want to draw a ring, you know, if you're comfortable drawing a ring. Okay, that's 26 left, and we'll go, so remember this, cruising altitude, 29, multiplied, cruising altitude, 29,000, equate 1,000, multiplied by 3, that gives you 87. Add 10 to accelerate, it gives you roughly 97. 97. This was okay. You don't want to work with me today, do you? Fix info. 97. So if you go onto our radius now, do you see how that ring there aligns almost perfectly with our top of descent? So I'm not going to keep the ring, but if you want to use the range ring, you can. I'm going to clear this one, because I don't need it. But it's good for situational awareness. From top of descent, range ring isn't a requirement, it's just nice to have. Right, we're going to get our chart up for our arrival. And we are currently approaching Zelma. So at Zelma we want to be below flight level 230 but above flight level 190. How are we going to do that? We're just going to descend to 190. No. We could pop in some speeds as well. So we're going to be at 250 by Randers. We know that much. You can begin our descent. I think a good time to begin your descent is usually 5 miles from your top of descent. So we'll wait until our top of descent and then we'll begin our descent. There's left on turn. For our approach, or our final, short final, we will follow a stable approach criteria, which is 220, 20, 6. So remember that 20 mile ring, 220 knots, 6,000 feet above the ground, which for us today is about 8,000 feet. So we've got to factor that one in, 2,000 feet above the ground. 220 knots. Obviously, do we have speed restrictions? We do, which is 210 knots. Flaps 1 potentially, and flaps 2 for before we need to be flaps 2 before we're on the ILS, and I need to stress that flaps 2 before we are intercepted on the ILS, otherwise we will struggle. Flaps 2 and ideally 180 knots or less, 180 knots or less when we're establishing on the ILS, otherwise we will struggle to bleed off energy. 1,000 feet, we want to be completely straight. So 4 miles from the runway, we're going to keep gear down. What's the standard procedure? 4 miles, gear down, flap full. So we're going to go 180 knots, flaps 2. Well, 200. Once we get below 200 knots, flaps 2, 180 knots, 160 knots. So 4 DME comes, gear down, flap full, 1,000 feet. Would be the 4,000 feet stable. Disconnect the autopilot before minimums. That being said, we also lack engine performance, so we shall factor in the lack of air density, and we'll drop our gear at 5 miles just to allow us to bleed off the speed. The lack of air density means potentially less drag. which means that we will struggle to bleed off speed, right? Thrust idle, descent, nav, alt blue. Idle thrust, hand on thrust levers. Are we going to make it below flight level 390? It's going to be tight, but I reckon we do. VNAV, or as we say, managed descent, the correct way to say, is managed mode. It will keep us on the path. That green dot needs to be there next to our altitude. So one thing about the Airbus is, if you want to know what the autopilot's doing, read the FMA. So thrust idle, green. This means whatever's green is active, whatever's blue is armed. FMA is saying thrust idle, descent, and nav. So it's in descent mode, it's in nav mode, and thrust idle. Alt capture. So alt blue means your altitude capture is armed. We're passing Zelma. We're not really making that restriction. It's going to be tight. We'll make it. Our next restriction is at Randers. I've got my chart up, but Randers here, 13,000 feet. We got this one fine, didn't it? Okay, there you go. 13,000 feet is our next minimum, max altitude, or minimum altitude. At 30,000 feet. Now, unlike in the UK, just at TOT, icing conditions potentially. I'll just be on the safe side. Outside air temperature is quite cold. Actually, what's the dew point? -11. No, we're fine. Actually, if I get an ice warning, I will turn the anti-ice on. You said it was a bit of mean clouds. Really mean clouds. Really mean clouds. Just to our weather radar down, make sure we're not flying through some seas and end up with a drink tea and the biscuits. Nah, it looks alright. Some clouds. So now we're in speed descent nav alt blue. So speed is maintaining our speed. Descent is still in descent mode. Nav navigating is following our flight path, and alt blue. Altitude capture is still armed. Once we pass 18,000 feet, we'll switch over to QNH, which is 29086. I'm sure we register. We'll just read our company message. If you have a look here, you can set its status. It says company message, which tells us no ADCT required, which is brilliant. No delay code. Right. Let's go. Let's have a look at our checklist. Pilot brief. Documents, approach checklist. We don't need to do until we are on approach. There you go. So that's how simple it really is. That's where we are. That's where we need to be Randers. For descent, it's a lot of waiting for nothing, but also being a bit proactive with your energy management. In real life, you could just get sent on a heading by air traffic control. You could get snatched by air traffic control. They could give you a heading that gives you a massive shortcut. and when you've got a shortcut, you will have to do some things which isn't fun. You'll have to maybe pull your speed brake. I'm half tempted to give us a shortcut just so we can show you how to manage that energy. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Keep it above 13,000 feet as we're above the MSA. And we'll say, let's say air traffic control. I've cleared it like 8,000 feet, just let's say from the south. Let's say they've said proceed direct to Guetti, keep descending 30,000 feet. Now when we're on approach, we don't need the beam points, so we're just giving us that, and now we're actually high on profile. There you go. So should we be mean? Should we say altitude? Stop descent. Stop descent. Descent flight level 190. So stop descent. So stop descent. So stop descent. You would pull descend flight level 190. So when you hear that command, stop descent, you stop your descent. Now I'm going to actually allow us to get high because I want to show you how to manage your energy. So we're giving ourselves a shortcut, and we're going to leave us high for a bit. So speed outstar, nav. Outstar means that we've captured the altitude, and nav. So you've got that 20-mile ring coming up as well. We'll pop terrain on, and on as well, just because terrain may be an issue. Landing at 127, so landing in around about 17-18 minutes. Should we proceed direct to Boulder City? Proceed direct, oh, hold on. Direct to Boulder City. This is where it's going to get a bit fun, so Bravo Lima Delta. Where is Bravo Lima Delta? Hold on, do I not have that? I mean, it's not part of our waypoint, so no wonder. Bourbon, we'll proceed direct to Bourbon. Bourbon, direct to Bourbon. So because of where we are, we've proceeded ourselves direct to Bourbon, which is here. Now we're well high, so we're fine. But we're gonna keep ourselves high for a bit, and then we'll descend. So maybe the lowest we can go is 12,000 here, and then let's once we're in the when we're in the VOR, once we hit here, which is it. Once we are inside the VOR, that's when we hit MSA. We're approaching from, and our current track is below 230. So we're actually approaching from this sector here, which means 13,000 feet is we're above, well, that's 13,000 feet. We'll leave us high for a bit. Much. I will show you how to deal with being high. So let's say they've told you maintain 280. Well, we've got to get down to 210. So let's say they keep us high. Okay, and now we're high. We're really high. we'll allow it to be high for a bit, and we'll show you how you can do it, how you can get down, and all the tips and tricks you can do to get down. So I'm cross-referencing my charts at the minute, because I'm not air traffic control. I'm also acting as air traffic control, but I'm not air traffic control, so I'm having to cross-reference my own charts and realise if air traffic control keeps a safe altitude, they believe it's safe. But I think we are safe to descend below the MSA. So we are currently, oh look, if we go to progress, we're 2,000 feet high. Let's descend down to 8,000 feet, flight 8080, 8,000 feet. So first idle descent, nav out blue. Standard, what we'll do is we'll let the aircraft decelerate. It's going to pitch down to 300, and that's where we're gonna catch up. But here's the thing, we're going to struggle. So what we're going to do is we're going to go half speed brake. Because we're in an A320, we can't go any further than half speed brake. Unless we disengage the autopilot. We're not going to do that. But look, we've just caught up to our descent path. Despite allowing the aircraft, there's another method you can do as well. If they say stop descent, descend to flight level 150. Again, we're high. What you can do is open your speed window. You can slow right down to green dot speed. This is going to be a tricky one, but in real life, air traffic control do this sometimes. Alright, let's say descend to 8,000 feet. Let's say 8,000 feet. So descend, first idle, descent, nav, alt 2, push in your speed, pull your speed brake, and you'll pitch down again to try and capture your profile. We'll turn on our landing lights as well. We're landing very soon. Less than 10 minutes. 10 minutes landing. And we're still okay. Well, so essentially this is our kind of back on profile arrow here, so you can just watch our vertical deviation is increasing. Once it gets around about 500 feet, I usually store speed brake, don't need it anymore. Still speed brake. Aircraft will pitch up and get us back on profile. Now we're back on profile, just like that. You said you have to reduce speed to 210. So speed's reducing 250 knots. Speed brake out because it wants us to slow down. I'm actually going to pull speed brake all the way back to 210. So once you get below 230, we're going to pulse flaps 1. Vegas just on our left. So yeah, we're still high, that's fine. Alright, we're gonna call flap 1. speed check, flap 1. Approach checklist. RF is 2986 set, once or twice times set, cross checked. Seatbelt on, minimums 2269er check. Auto brake is low, engine mode select small. Please pitch up, because we're still pitching down to try and get back on profile. Right, we're really struggling, and this is what I mean we're struggling. So my airplane, I'm going to allow it to overspeed. I'm going to go full speed brake. Happen IRL. Like, this is not a freak incident where an aircraft disengages the autopilot full speed brake out. You can do this as long as you pop it. As even if you pop it back on, we'll turn on LS for both sides. LS once, LS twice. Approach face is active. We'll have a look. We're landing. So yeah, approach face is active. That's what we need to. Usually at this point you'd be cleared to descend via the star down to XYZ. Descend via the transition down to XYZ. So we'll get charts out. We need to be down at 200. We are struggling. Full speed brake again. Sometimes you don't need to do it. Sometimes you just need to full speed brake every time. We've busted the speed restriction, but let's just say they've given us free speed, whatever. So where sometimes high energy approaches like this. So remember, as long as we are established, like as long as we are established by, for example, Relin, we're fine. So I could potentially even just pull vertical speed, 1000 feet per minute, 700 feet per minute, speed brake still, 180 knots. 1000 feet per minute should do us good. Get us on profile. Get us down, I guess. So maybe go 700 feet, 600 feet per minute. We keep speed, vertical speed now out blue until we've caught. So now 38,800. Alright, speed check, flaps 2. Descend mode, speed descent now out blue. Get down on profile. Arm our speed brake now because we've got the things for it. We've got the drag due to having flaps 2. Approach mode. Activate approach. Speed, glide slopes on, look. So we call a glide slope, we call a localizer. Aircraft should descend 180 knots, but it's still a bit fast, so we will go down to 160. If we're really fast and we're really struggling, you can also do flaps 3, gear down, flaps 3. You can have your gear up until flaps. So if we're really struggling, we could potentially drop it to flaps 3. Especially on a high energy approach. We'll turn on our turn offs and our noise lights. Go around altitude is 6,000 feet. So now, yeah, what we'll do is, because we're struggling to get to 160 knots, we'll go flaps 3. Again, this is unorthodox but not non-standard. 5 miles. Actually, we've got 5 miles based off our range ring. Gear down, flap full, and speed. Aircraft should descend. Aircraft should decelerate now. approach, and I made it like that on purpose, again, to show you how you can manage, how you can get stable. So we're stable, and we'll be stable at 1,000 feet. And that's just due to, okay, you use your speed brake efficiently, dropped your flaps at the right time. If you do all the basic stuff, you'll be fine. I'll taxi to a stand using standard taxi routes. Right, 1,000 feet. Once we hit 1,000, I'll switch over to. So technically left side. I have control of my plane. Autopilot off. So landing, no blue. This is our flight. We're going to fly the plane down, keep it 2 red, 2 whites. And once we flare out like 50 feet, we're going to initiate a flare, fully flare by 30 feet, and idle at 20.
500.
Or potentially retard. Depending, pitch down, struggling. Just gotta. Sometimes you need to motivate the aircraft. A bit of crosswinds. We're just gonna.
100 above.
Potentially a crab here, so just pitch up. And the aircraft doing its thing. There you go. 2 rest, 2 right, back on profile.
Minimum.
Nose down. Continue. Down 700 feet per minute. 40. This is a nice approach. We'll give it a little bit of a crab.
50. 30. 20. Retard. 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 Retard.
Not stable. That's fine. We'll go around. Fine. I was using left rudder. Anyways, go around. Gear up. Flap free. All the way up to 20 degrees. Autopilot. Climb thrust. Speed. Climb out. So at 4,000. We'll do a circuit. So 4,000 vertical speed, 1,500. This is a go around. This is a standard go around. We could potentially go flaps 2 as well, because we've flaps 2, speed check, flaps 1. We'll go with the F speed. So 1,500 feet per minute is to stop any TAs, traffic advisories. We'll fly a standard circuit, so we'll do a left-hand turn to a heading of 079. Okay, so if you ever find yourself having an unstable approach or a bolts landing, do not panic, do not worry, it happens. I'm going to speed up a bit to maybe about 180. It's not loaded in our current route, but that's fine. We'll give it approach another shot. Green dot speed should hold that. I'll just track it. Okay, what we'll do is we'll just shoot our approach again, so we'll just go nice. 26 left Yankee, no star, no yeah. Alright. There you go. Now what we're going to do is we're flying downwind the runway. Again, we'll activate our approach phase. So we'll go activate approach phase. Again, do not be upset if you do end up going around. It happens. And in that case, I simply port my landing. There is no shame in go arounds. And as a matter of fact, having an ego is by far the worst thing you can have during a go around. I'm going to reduce speed. We're going to settle first. So we're going to shoot an approach. So we're going to send down to around about 5,000 feet. 1,000 feet per minute. And the speed maybe 180. So speed check, flaps 1. That's how you go around, and you know, again, there's no shame in going around. It happens, and again, there's no shame. Sometimes there's no stable approach, sometimes your PC just lags, sometimes the sim just decides to be flight sim. You can always try an approach again, but if you crash, you crash. Do you know? I'd rather do a missed approach than crash. Alright, speed check, flaps 2, speed 180, we'll make a left-hand turn. Now to intercept. Cleaned out, right, left-hand turn. $45, we'll call it 299, we'll call it 300. Approach mode. So my CDA has definitely disappeared, so it continues descent approach. Anyways, localizer has been captured. Speed 160. Much more stable on the approach now. We're going to make that, well, I think we're going to overshoot. Yeah, we're going to overshoot slightly. It happens. Overshooting. The main thing is A, that your approach is stable. And now the autopilot may have overshot this turn. Because we're at 160, we can easily stabilise it, we can easily correct it. There you go, glide slope, capture, localizer capture, there you go, 6,000 feet. We're not going to go around again, we're going to get this one, we're going to do a textbook landing. But rule about go around is always put your ego aside. Also, one thing we do need to remember as well, the weather's not exactly in our favour. We have a it's only an 8 knot crosswind, 40 knot headwind, but it's still wind, hot and high. Second time's a charm. 5 miles, gear down. Box 3. Speed. Box 3, box 4. Get to 1,000, I have control, stable, usual. We're going to do this textbook landings again.
1,000.
Stable. Airplane. The thing about Airbus is you don't really want to fight it, so what we want to do is basically make sure that our vertical speed, and if our ground speed is around about 140, I'm going to target 700 feet per minute. If it's 150, 750, if it's 130, 650, if you get the gist.
Above.
Well, 2 rest 2 words, we're just tracking the puppies and we're keeping our eyes on the puppies now. Once there's a discrepancy like this, you want to keep your eyes on the puppies. Continue. It's a much smoother approach. That's why keep your eyes on the puppies. Maybe pitch up a bit.
50, 30, 20, retard, 5.
Oh, we've got a little bit of a focus a bit. There you go. Max reverse. Take these turns up to 50 knots. Right. Stop this timer. Stop this timer. Alright, so we're gonna hold here, we're gonna do a clean up and we're gonna taxi to stand. Hold here. So speed brakes, flaps, landing lights off, nose light, taxi, turn off light can stay on. Strobe light can come off just for the time being. We're not going to clear ourselves to cross just yet. Speed brake is disarmed, rudder trim, reset, standby on the standby on this transponder. I'm going to taxi stand Charlie 12, reason being is it's just close. Charlie 12, no follow me. And what we'll do is we'll head upstairs, we're going to cross over. Strobe light can come on, parking brake off. Give it a bit of goose. As we're crossing an active runway, we have to turn our strobe lights on. It's not necessarily you have to, but it's kind of like a good way to make the aircraft as visible as possible. You want the aircraft to have as many, like, you want your strobes to be on, and your strobes are bright. So what we saw there was a textbook flare and a bit of an early retard. It happens. No two planes land the same, so no matter what, even if the weight's the same, you will not land the same. The textbook is flare at 30, retard at 20. We can turn our strobe lights off. We'll actually start our APU now. APU master switch. I'm going to wait for that to turn green. We'll make this right hand turn here. While that's happening, we're actually going to shut down engine number 2. So what we'll do is engine number 2, shut down electronic hydraulic pump on. Just to save fuel. I'm going to make the next, we're going to make second left before all the way round. We're going to ignore this left hand turn here. So left and immediately left. We're just going to allow the exit. So we're going to, again, I'm going to brake here. Be nice and smooth on the turn. We're then going to follow this turn all the way around. We're going to ignore, we're going to take this turn up here. APU's on. We can turn off our flight directors. So let's turn off my the radars. I don't not want to fly the ground crew. So we're going to take, turn them off. That's our stand right in front of us. Taxi lights can come off and turn off so we don't blind the ground crew. And that's our stand right there. So we'll just add a bit first. And then we'll do a quick shutdown checklist as well. So we'll turn on our brake fans. I forgot to turn them on. That's one thing. And I forgot to leave the flaps out. The one thing I forgot. The one thing I should have mentioned. Leave the flaps out. So I've just explained the flaps just so the heat can cool off. And that's why it's good to have a notepad and pen. Keep the flaps out. Parking brake on. Engine 1. We verify APU. APU is on. Engine 1 off. Engine 1 off. Electronic hydraulic pump off. Pumps off. Wait for the N1 to drop below 10%. Which it has. Seatbelt beacon light can come off. Requested boarding. We'll just take the external power, turn off our EP master switch. Alright, so the reason why I've extended my flaps is obviously you gotta keep them retracted. Well, then you're asking yourself the question, how do I extend the flaps on stand? So, you know, you want to secure the aircraft for the day or whatever. How do we extend the aircraft until put some PCA on, get some air conditioning? So you've got your flaps out after landing. How do we retract them? Because this isn't, well, what we'll do is secure the aircraft, so we'll turn off our IDs. Well, this is what you do, simple. You come up here, turn your hydraulic pump, and you put the flaps up. They take time. flaps are retracted, we check verify with that. Turn off our hydraulic pump. And so obviously open the flight deck door. And that is everything. Obviously wait to disembark and everything. We'll kill our block timer as well. And we'll check our wheel temps actually, so they're suitable there. Yeah, we've got a tyre here, that's one we can just turn it off. So yeah, that's a good little tutorial flight for hot and high conditions, with a go around as well. So everything's complete. Thank you all for watching. I do hope to see you again on the next one. Later, Gators.